In this video, we want to look at solving a quadratic equation that needs to use the square root property. Now, understand that when we're using the square root property, it's when you just have constants running around out here, and your x is contained within a square. So we need to isolate the square first, and that's pretty simple to do. We just need to move the 5 to the other side. Now, we've been doing this for ages, so we probably don't even need to show this step right here. So now we have 2x minus 1 squared is equal to 9. So we have the square isolated. And once you have the square isolated, this is where you use the square root property. And remember, with the square root property, you're basically just taking the square root of both sides of the equation. But when you do this, you must remember to use your plus or minus. If you forget your plus or minus, you're missing half your answers, and then you won't be able to get all of the answers, and, well, that'd take off half the points. Because if you're missing half the answers, you should miss half your points. So now we have 2x minus 1 is equal to plus or minus, and of course the square root of 9 is just going to be 3. Now, as we showed in other videos, when you are solving this guy for x and you have to move things from one side to the other, and you've got this plus or minus, you put whatever you move over there in front of the plus or minus. So, I'm going to add 1 to both sides, making sure that I keep that in front of the plus or minus. So now I have that 2x equals a positive 1 plus or minus 3. And then we just finish solving this guy by dividing both sides by 2. Alright, so now my answer looks like this. X equals 1 plus or minus 3 all over 2. Now, one of the things you've got to notice about this problem is that there's nothing imaginary and there are no radicals. Now, if that's the case, there are no i's, no radicals, then we need to separate this into our two answers. Okay? So let's make a little note of that. When you have no i's and no radicals, this is when you want to separate and get your two distinct answers. So let's do that. So that means that we're going to have this. X equals 1 plus 3 divided by 2, or x equals 1 minus 3 divided by 2. And all we need to do here is to finish simplifying these guys. So 1 plus 3 is 4, divided by 2 is just going to give me 2. And your other answer is 1 minus 3 over 2, so that gives me negative 2 divided by 2. And I have just negative 1. So, remember, when you go through and you're solving these guys and you have nothing imaginary, and you don't have any radicals, then you separate to get your two answers, to make sure that you totally simplify.